This video is for artists who are on less than 1,000 streams. And I want to start this video by saying, I applaud you. That's right, Burstimo, we're a music marketing channel, and our channel is about teaching you how to build your fan base, followers, and streams. And I am commending you on having less than 1,000 streams. In fact, comment below less than 1,000 if you have less than 1,000 streams on all of your tracks, because I'm not pleased for you for what you have done, but what you haven't done. This last few months especially, we've been bombarded with ads on Instagram and sometimes even getting DM'd for spots on playlists where you can simply pay as little as $50 to get added to a Spotify playlist that's gonna get you thousands of streams. But obviously you're getting incredibly frustrated, and then a company comes along and offers you a solution. Of course you're gonna jump at it. But let me tell you what happened. It was about a year ago, and then user curated playlists just started asking for money for spots on playlists. And then they realized that there was money to be made in this, as artists just kept jumping on it and jumping on it, even though it breaks the terms of service of Spotify. And then it escalated, and things escalated and escalated until they started pumping these playlists through with fake streams to justify the amount that they are charging. So artists were paid to be on the playlist, and then they wouldn't get any streams and not continue to pay monthly. So these guys decided, well, let's just find some random click farm and pump thousands and thousands of streams through the playlist. And then artists will pay to be on the playlist for longer, and then they make more money. And there are some very telling signs on whether the streams or a playlist is fake. Firstly, it's the amount of streams it's generating. If you go onto that playlist and then look at an emerging artist on that playlist, go to their about section, and that playlist is generating thousands of streams from 5,000 followers, then the streams are probably fake. We had one artist called La Kyoto, and they got on New Music Friday and New Pop Revolution on the day of their release. And they generated 17,000 streams in that first week. And if you manage to get 10,000 streams in a week from a random non-official Spotify playlist, clearly there is something wrong. You don't have Spotify users going to random playlists and then deciding to listen to them over Spotify's very own today's top hits. And if the solution was just to pay $50 to get on a playlist and you get thousands of streams and your career just blows up, every single artist will be doing it. And if you think back to the 1980s or 1990s, how many artists would just go and disappear with only about 30 people ever hearing their track? What makes you think 2019 is different, where suddenly thousands and thousands and thousands more people are listening to more emerging artists? It doesn't happen. It's still the same. People are just still streaming the charts just like they used to. So with that in mind, you're meant to be on less than 1,000 streams. It's where you're meant to be as an emerging artist. And you're supposed to want it to be difficult, because that gets rid of the competition. If it is difficult and you push through as an artist and you overcome all the barriers and you keep creating content, you keep releasing, you keep making good music, and then eventually you'll take off organically, and all the people who found it too difficult and they quit will give up. You've got no competition, and you'll find that your album is official charts #1 because you just kept grinding and kept it organic. So here's 8 things that you can do to get above 1,000 streams on Spotify. And the first thing is just to let the algorithm do its thing. Artists can get incredibly anxious about the fact that they're on less than 1,000 streams when the Discover Weekly algorithm takes up to 8 to 10 weeks to detect your track and start pushing it out. Even if you upload to Spotify and get no streams, it will still push out your track to people who like that genre, even if it's just a handful of people, and test to see if people like your track. If they do, they won't skip your track, they'll go back and listen again, and the algorithm will push it out to more and more people. In fact, we had an artist called Marco Tamimi who has just hit 100,000 streams from the Discover Weekly algorithm alone. If you look at his About section, there aren't any playlists generating those streams. It is all just the algorithm that is pushing out his track because it is a good track. And we worked with Marco back in February 2019. And if you look at when this video was actually released, then you'll be able to know exactly how long that took for the algorithm to pick up his track, decide it is good, and push it out to 100,000 people. The second tip is use SUBMITHUB. SUBMITHUB is a great place to find organic, real playlists. They do a lot of vetting of the blogs to make sure that they are legitimate as well as the playlist. And especially if you manage to get on a blog's playlist, you know they have no incentive to pump their playlist with fake streams, especially with the SUBMITHUB model where they get paid $1 for considering a track. So they get paid for writing reviews on tracks, listening to tracks. That's where the blog earns their money and their incentive. So you know that every ad is legitimate. Also, all of the other tracks on those playlists will be legitimate and genre specific to you. So the Spotify algorithm is able to pick you up and associate you with other artists and push you out to the right Discover Weekly playlist where people are actually going to like your music and not skip your track. And number 3, if you don't know this, then you're not watching enough videos on our channel, because it is the Spotify for Artists app. You can submit to Spotify official playlists and do it 4 weeks before release. So get your distributor to get your track uploaded to Spotify 4 weeks before your release, and then go onto the Spotify for Artists platform and submit to be considered for Spotify official playlists. And tip number 4 is create your own playlist. Create your own playlist and market that instead of your music. Maybe your music is really chilled or it's great for studying. Then create your own brand of playlist and push it out. At least you know then the streams are legitimate. Curate your playlist and pick lots of artists that are similar to you or similar to your vibe, and then promote it. You could use Facebook or Instagram ads to promote your playlist. You could target students in various areas during study time and then have the copy which says, are you stressed about your exams? Listen to this chill playlist while you study. And then you have your track at the very, very top of the playlist. And then you get the streams, and say it costs about 8 cents per click. That's only 8 cents per stream. So when you get 1,000 streams, it's not going to cost you that much money to get your career off the ground and also get legit streams. And the best thing about this is that, okay, it can be quite expensive and add up, but you can retarget everyone who clicked through to your playlist or has interacted with your new brand, knowing that you can sell merch to them, you can sell gig tickets, because you already know that they've heard your track because they clicked through to the playlist. And tip number 5 is on that subject. You have to learn to be able to sell your music. Research copywriting. Figure out how marketers sell products, how they get people's attention and entice people to buy in one single line. And that works for doing ads, DMing people, trying to get people to listen to your music and convert your existing followers into listeners is how you're going to be able to get above 1,000 streams. Most people can get between 500 followers and 1,000 followers on Instagram. That is enough to be able to get people to Spotify and streaming your track. If you have 1,000 followers and you manage to convert 30% of your followers to go and listen to your track, then that is 300 streams that you didn't have otherwise. And tip number 6 is you might need a bit of help here. So start creating content that is targeted or dedicated towards people who have a large following. So for example, say you saw someone with 20,000 followers on their Instagram and you decided to do a cover song directed towards them. You sing a track about them, or you write a track for them, or you see a piece of content that they've created and you say, I've actually mixed my track or given you an instrumental for this piece of content if you ever wanted to use it again. And by the way, if you ever want to repay me for it, just add my track to your Spotify playlist. And that's so good because influencers and people who have large accounts, especially YouTubers, get streams on their Spotify playlists because they're constantly plugging their Spotify playlist. I don't actually know what's in it for them, but I've seen a lot of influencers plugging their Spotify playlist. And then you can get all of your streams that way, as well as potentially a shout out on your social media. And tip number 7 is also reach out to Twitch streamers. This is something that people don't do enough of, and I know that I don't do enough of this as well. Twitch is huge now, and streamers have the biggest audiences I've ever seen, and they are an engaged audience. And what's amazing about Twitch streamers is that they are listening to music while they play the game. So they'll be streaming and then there'll be music in the background. And again, they are also plugging their Spotify playlist the entire time. They put their Spotify playlist links in the description and also play their Spotify playlist throughout the time of them streaming. So people go and follow the playlist because they've heard the tracks on the playlist and they like the tracks. And if your track makes it onto one of those playlists, you'll get all the streams. So pitch your track to Twitch streamers, DM them and see if they like your track. Again, go back to the previous tip about copywriting and learning to sell, because you can't just send them a link and hope that they listen to your music. You've got to say something like, I saw your stream last night and that bit where you killed that dragon or whatever the Twitch streamers are doing. Then they are more likely to listen to your track because they know there is a personal DM. And my final tip, tip number 8, is collaborate with other artists who have momentum. So there are a lot of artists now that collaborate and their profiles get linked on Spotify. I see it all the time on New Music Friday, and this is a great way to build followers on Spotify. So you could find someone with 100,000, 200,000 real streams and followers and then say, do you want to collaborate on a track? You could even say, I'll pay you to collaborate on a track because I'm just looking to grow my following and I'm a great songwriter, I'm a great producer, I think I can really help you create an amazing track. And artists are always finding it difficult to find the time to write songs, find inspiration. So someone comes along to either pay them and give them more resources than they have otherwise, then they are likely to accept the deal. Because as long as it's a good track, they will put it on their Spotify and it won't ruin their own momentum of constantly releasing. And then you'll find that on the release radar, potentially any Spotify official playlists that come through, people will go and follow you as well on Spotify because you are linked to that artist and they have discovered you that way. I hope you found this video useful. If you have, give it a thumbs up. Comment below what your journey has been like on Spotify, and we'll see you in the next video.